What's up, guys? It's your boys at Anime Files. I got Kenny and me, TAWD, and we're doing Season 1, Episode 1, Rurouni Kenshin. We're bringing it back, like nostalgia. This is a remake. Cold drinks and speed paints. So we're
Cold drinks and speed paint.
Let's just start from the beginning.
Let's start from the beginning, man. There's an order to this.
Yeah. So what did you think of the opening scene?
The opening scene, is that the one where it's nighttime and he's running around? Hey, guess what I did, man? You can be proud of me. I speed ran the old one, the first episode of the old one, to kind of get like a little bit of hey, what's the difference between the old one and the new one? Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna lie. So the night scene, I think the night scene better probably depicts that scene. So that's the new one. Because in the old one, it was like a day scene, right? So the night scene is probably better here. So of the things that I like, and it's not much, but not much that I like about the new one versus the old one, right? The pacing and stuff is kind of off for me. But I will tell you that the night scene is probably the one thing that I did like more. I think it should take place at night. It gives you more reason for it to be like less kind of populated in the right, and just gives you more reason for a ninja to be out, you know? So I thought that was cool. What do you think?
I loved that scene actually, but I should have checked back because I watched this anime a long time ago. So luckily I don't remember everything, but I just remember how I thought this character is badass, you know, but he's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'll have to go back and see the difference. I can tell the animation's way better though.
Don't worry, I got you.
Better.
Really? You think the animation's better? Oh,
I think the
color. Are you sure you're not remembering this correctly here?
Well, maybe I have to go back a little, but you know, this is like
as an artist, you know, that's like famous last words when you say that, right? But like as an artist, I think the animation is actually a little bit more choppy, to be fair. Really, the only upgrade here is you're going from 4:3 TV to like 16:9. Obviously, it's like more HD. But other than that, honestly, I don't think it's an improvement in animation. Like it's generally smoother. And the beats and the pacing is probably, it just feels more correct for the style and the tone that they were going for. And I don't know if you remember this. I have really bad memory, just so you know. I got some bad memory stuff going on, but just because I saw it right now, it's like, look, the old one just feels smoother, just straight up, which gets me thinking. And I want to ask you, what do you think the remake?
What do I think about the remake, you said?
Yeah, like why do you think they even did it?
Oh, I'll tell you why. I remember when I was younger, a lot younger, this was like one of the main animes I watched back when like there's Dragon Ball Z was big. This was one I watched all the time. I think this, and can't remember if the other animes as old, Inuyasha. But these were like this Inuyasha, Samurai Champloo. Like I love like samurais and that sword fighting and stuff. But I really like.
Yeah, but he's not a samurai though. He's not a samurai. He's a Ruroni.
He's a Ronin right now.
He's not even a Ronin. He's a Ruroni.
Yeah, like
you know what that means? Do you know what that means?
No, why don't you break it down for us?
I will break it down for you. The root word is Rurun or whatever, and that's like wandering or something. Or no, that's like alone or something like that. And Ni is like wandering or something like that. I don't remember. This is old stuff. This is like stuff like back in the 90s, but it's two different meanings. Like the root word like Ronin too, like from Ronin, like that's kind of piecemeal together. It's a fake word. I'm just letting you know. It's a fake word. It's not an actual Japanese word. But anyways, maybe I'm wrong about that. It's been a long time, but that's what I remember.
Well, see, that's why I'm glad you're on here, because you can explain this historical stuff. And I don't even know. Like I was taking notes, and
You're taking notes? Oh, this is about to get serious, boys and girls.
You know, because I want to go deep. No, we want to go deep. That's what makes it different. Okay. So.
Man.
He was talking. They were talking about the Shinsugumi. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but is that anything, or do you think they just made
Shinsugumi? What was it? What was in reference to?
Well, when they found him after he took care of all those guys, that one guy said part of the Shinsugumi, and Hajime I don't even know how to say these names. It's been a while. I just know him as Saito. Saito was the guy saying I'll kill him. I was just wondering if that had any historical meaning, if you know, or it's just maybe something they just made up for the anime.
No, the only two historical meanings in like chat, just relax, of like, I know I studied Asian history in college like 30 years ago, but my weakest subject was probably Japanese history out of all the Asian countries. Like I didn't go deep in Japanese history, but I do remember like there's like two kind of periods. It was like that Bakumatsu period, like just before the cusp of the Meiji period, which are the Meiji era or the Meiji restoration, which was like where stuff was beginning to modernize. So I didn't know it took place during that era until I started seeing like the cops and stuff. And I just realized that, oh, wait, this is like during the Meiji restoration period, which is a real critical period for modernization, which, you know, based on the ending, and you can just tell me right now, because if you haven't watched this stuff until, I mean, I haven't, but you can spoil it for me. Like, is this dude like super old? Like, because at the end he's like, you don't look 30 or whatever like that. How old are you? Is he like timeless or something?
I don't know, actually.
Whatever, you don't know. Get out of here. What's the answer, man?
I haven't watched it, and I am not trying to spoil it for the people.
Yeah, they don't care. They're just why they're watching the review, because they don't care.
Well,
plus, you know, I'll put like a little spoiler alert.
This is a review of episode 1.
All right. So you're holding back. All right, fine. Yeah. Moving on to the next topic then, Tad. Take us to the next topic.
Well, what I was going to say is like, it's interesting how different he looks than when that setting when he took care of all those guys. Like you could tell he had a fierce intensity, and now he's kind of
I don't know,
kind of goofball. But maybe he just that's just kind of like an act.
Well,
but what did you think of that? You know.
Well, I do know you were just talking about the fighting. I do know that the sword style was based on a real sword style. Yeah. So I don't know much about Japanese sword styles. I mean, I know I know a little bit. I do remember having somebody who's really into the arts, teach me just the drawing concept. The concept was sword. So it gets me really stressed out when I see somebody one-handing a two-handed katana. And so when Kenshin is up in the air with one hand out like this, it like stresses out, because I'm like, that's not how you use that, kid. So I don't know, man. Like it's a two-handed weapon, man. Like, you know, there's an art to it, whatever. I don't even think it looks cool when you do that, because it like stresses me out, because I'm like, that's not proper technique, bro. But whatever. So,
well, most of the time he was using two hands.
No, he was, but he was just kind of getting some lift off on that one shot.
So you said it was happening during the Meiji era. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
I do remember reading history about that when samurais weren't allowed to carry swords. So
yeah. Yeah, they were trying to pretty much get rid of them.
What did you think of his weapon?
Yeah, I think that's a really cool concept, honestly. Of the concepts and of the things that like you're talking about, it makes sense. And, you know, I think there's like some definite metaphorical overtones there with what that's supposed to mean. I think a lot of that is, you know, like think about like the way I see him is like he's a red like character, red hair and everything. Like that's the rising sun, like that to me. I don't know. I haven't thought too much about this, but I mean, to me, it's like an obvious rising sun like metaphor. And when you see him walking around in the old anime in the daytime and stuff, you're like, dude, that's the Japanese flag right there. The sun in the background, the white in the background, and then, you know, his red, that's like the red spot. And I think when you're talking about the blade and think about like, you know, how there's some folks in like the islands and stuff that were like still fighting World War II, like long after World War II was over. I think this is like the idea of like, you know, him putting that sword down and kind of not really putting it down, but like the killing is done, you know, like the war is over and let's kind of transition to something else. You know, maybe you still need to be a warrior, but how does that warriorship look like in the modern era vice, you know, actual war? So I think it's a case study in that, probably. You know, I think the writer for sure, I did do a little research. The writer for sure was very, very specific about being historically unbalanced, like taking from history and actually putting those things into his character world. So it's definitely a commentary. And back then, for sure, it was probably a meta commentary on like the times. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I like the fact, and I have seen they actually made a movie that was before this, so I know why he's like this.
Oh,
because he's actually, I can tell you guys this. I mean, there's a reason why there's an X. He was called Samurai X. The Batosai, the legendary manslayer. Actually, if you want to see a good movie, it is really good.
Isn't there like 6 live action versions of this thing, of this Joker?
I know there are some live actions. I've never seen them. I just never gotten into anime live actions, but I heard the movie, actually this anime's live action movies did good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I did hear. You know, Miss Caillou, she trains a Kamiya Aladdin Rue sort of style. Have you heard anything like that? Or you think it was just kind of made up for the anime? I was just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, like if you break that down, Aladdin, obviously, I mean, Kamiya, Aladdin, those are 2 fake things. Ryu just means talented in Japanese, just cause, and it's just like typically a name that you put over school banners. So that's on par with making it feel like that, but the name itself, I don't know. I'm sure it's something fake. I mean, there's a lot of fantastical stuff in this this show, but overall, I don't know. What did you think about, like, you know, kind of the character beats? Like, one of the things that I don't know if you remember or not, but again, I speed ran the first episode back there. Like in the old one, dude, the old man is not a part of this like crazy scheme or anything. If I recall correctly, he's just a bad guy. And this one, he's like part of this big, like, oh, I'm going to get you to sign the dotted line.
Now you're going to make me watch the old one every time we do one now, because we can talk about the differences. So I do not remember. It was a long time, but now I kind of want to see, and actually we could compare that in the future.
Well, I was just more going for like, I'm not really worried about the specifics. I was just going more for like, you know, the way I watch things is like, you know, I just like to see the feeling of it. Like as an artist, like, does it feel like a better movie? Does it feel more composed? And I think the original does feel more composed. And I hate to keep bringing that up because this is not, you know, this, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is this movie should stand alone, right? Or not movie, I'm sorry. This episode or this series should stand alone. And maybe it does get better. But the one thing that I was hoping for, like, if you're going to do a remake, let's have some better live action. But like, and I'm probably going to put it on the screen here. Like there's parts in that show or in that first episode where there's literally just cut scenes for action. And that's like some record Ragnarok shit right there. Right. Yep. Like I don't like that, man. Like if you're remaking it, remake it, do it some justice, you know, like it's a beloved show. I'm sure some people like live or die off of this show. And I don't know. I'm not impressed.
I noticed that too. Like when you said that, I wonder if the studio is like being careful because it's a remake or what, but hopefully it gets better.
I do think that,
you know,
I do think that they're trying to respect the source material more, which is like the original manga, but it still should stand on its own. You know what I mean? Like I get it. So, okay, you respected it more. So what? It doesn't tell a better story here. You know, it's 2 different formats. So I don't know.
Well, it seemed like Miss Karu, if I said it right, she's like really proud of the sword art from the what's that area? Bakumatsu area. Yeah. And it seemed to me, and I didn't think it looked contrived. I want to know your opinion, but obviously I feel like she started getting attracted to.
This is a big one. Okay, I want to talk about this. Because I recently watched another 90s anime called Record of Lotus War, and I'm going to do a video on this. But the pacing and the narrative is so subtle for that story, for their relationship, that when I watched the old anime, I'm not going to keep bringing this up because there's a real difference. The old anime, Rurouni Kenshin, the first episode that goes beat for beat pretty much, it's so much more dramatic. Like there's this telling of a tale where like there's a point where she's like, basically they get to the point where she doesn't get to say goodbye to him or figure out his name. But in this one, it's like, she's like, at least tell me your name. And he's like right there and he walks away for 1 split second. And then he just tells him the name. It's nothing. In the old one, she goes to the room and like goes to apologize. And she's like knocking and yelling and stuff. Well, like open up or whatever. And then she opens it up and like everything's folded nicely and he's gone. And then like the wind blows her hair and she's like, you didn't even tell me your name. And it's so much more dramatic and it feels like for real, like it hits.
I actually think I do remember that. And I think that's a mistake they made in this one because that doesn't create you know, the tension.
Oh yeah. I don't feel
walk out the door barely, you know?
Yeah. So I watched it first, right? I watched the new one first and then I went back and watched it because I never watched it back in the 90s because I just thought it was too cartoony for my flavor. But now I'm just like way more open-minded about stuff. But back in the day when I was like a angsty teenager, you know, 16-year-old teenager, I was like, this is too cartoony for me, man. Where's that Ninja Scroll action that I need? But point is, like, they did it really good back then. This one, like I said, it's like, tell me your name. And then she's like, oh, he didn't tell me your name. And then like literally 2 seconds later, they didn't even let it hang for 2 seconds. And then he's like, you know what I mean? Like, like, come on, story writing, Tad. If you wrote that into our manga, I'd kill you.
Why do you think they did that? Do you think because people have less attention span now, or
no? I think they did it because I don't know this, but I think it probably matches the manga beat for beat closer. I think what they did with the first original one is, you know, it wasn't popular yet. It was popular, but it wasn't like crazy popular. So they had like more leverage. Like the director producer was just like, nah, let me change this. And they're like, okay, go ahead. But now when they're redoing it, you know, since it's so popular, they made so much money. It was like, no, follow the manga exactly. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I think happened.
You're probably right. Because I have seen some animes that when they change from the manga, it's not as good. Like, well, for example, Full Metal Alchemist, the first one, got Brotherhood, and Akame got Kill. I watched those two animes, and it was good. And then it started. Both of them started acting. The story started going a weird way. Yeah. And I actually read them. Like, especially remember when Akame got killed, because I was like, why is it? Something's not right. And then everyone was talking about, you got to read the manga. And I read the manga, and it was just so much better. But like everything was going beat for beat, but then it passed the manga. And then it's probably similar to like Game of Thrones. A lot of people were upset with Game of Thrones after, you know, those guys started doing that. Well, for some reason, this is one of the reasons why I think Rurouni Kenshin was so memorable to me, is because how he talks. Like, he reminds me of Yoda, you know, like, does. Yeah. Like, maybe not the way Yoda does it, but it's just how he talks. It made him a memorable character.
Yeah, he's like a main character that comes right out of the gate. Like, I don't know if it's the OG of main characters coming out of the gate overpowered, but it's pretty close to one of the original G's that comes out of the gate pretty powerful. You know, he's not like tripping around or trying to learn how to use the sword, you know? So, I mean, maybe that was the appeal back then. And then that's why he gets to sound like that. He should sound like that if he's that good. You know what I mean? So that makes sense to me. All that makes sense in the character arc. It is cool to watch it.
Were you talking about when he was like talking about to Miss Kaoru? He's like, pretty much talking down on her. But he's not talking down. He's just talking. He's not. That's just the way he talks. I do wish that, like, I think it's more important. Like, we didn't see enough of that place. Like, one thing that they do really well in the original is like it's daytime a lot, and you see a lot of like peach trees and like beautiful courtyards and stuff. So like when he makes the decision to stick around, it like hits. Here it's like you saw a night scene, you saw some people on the road like yelling at him and like telling him, and the police nabbing him up. Yeah. I mean, if the police are coming to your house and yelling about like, hey, you're making too much noise in the neighborhood and all this stuff, would you want to stick around the neighborhood? I wouldn't. Yeah. So it doesn't hit the same way as the original. I don't want to keep, comparing it to it, but we have a real serious comparison here, and it's kind of dumb that, I mean, I don't know, man. What I want to ask you, TADD, before we get out of here though, do you have any more topics? What do you got? Well, we pretty much went over everything. The only thing I want to say is the Batosai name. Mm-hmm. The way the guy was talking about it, like he's probably been gone a while. Like I kind of felt like they're saying it's almost like it's a folklore. Like they heard of it, but it's like rumored. Like was that a real person and stuff? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just waiting in the it was nothing I could make a decision on right now. I'm just like watching it and be like, all right, I guess this has to play out. You know what I mean? So yeah. And then the last thing was I feel like, although he says he doesn't care about that name, I kind of feel like he does in a way. If someone's going to take that name, they better be a good fighter. That's kind of what I was kind of thinking. And what do you think about that whole situation too? Like when he's like, "That's my name for now," or whatever, like that. Like, I think he doesn't want to be known as a Batosai. It's like he doesn't want to be known as a Batosai, but he doesn't want anyone else to be known as it either. Yeah, as it either, like let it die type thing. Yeah, because that makes sense. I feel like he feels like, hey, like that name's like legendary. I don't want anyone else to have it, but no one else deserves it. You know, I'm not going to let someone else take it. And I feel like he has like hidden agenda. Like he has like some kind of goals. But
Got it.
I'm sure we'll find out more in the future animes. So, but that's about it. So.
No, I got one more thing. Something new. Plus, because I want to have it. People have been waiting for this. It's been on our little left screen here. They're going down. They've been waiting for this the whole time. You know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. 0 out of 10. 0 out of 10. What is your rating for this episode? Just this episode. Don't give it the whole thing in series or anything. This episode and this episode specifically. I feel like we got to rate each episode that we do. People will want to wait for that. They're like, people are holding their breath. They probably skip forward just to get this, just to know what we said. So okay. I'm going to go first. Oh no, you go first. Go ahead. I already got my number, so you go first.
So I'll rate it like a 7. And the reason I rate it like that, maybe I'm a little biased because I do like Rurouni Kenshin, but when you bring up the fact about the still shots, like Record of Ragnarok, this is a remake. You like you said, this is a remake. You're supposed to make it better. The animation could be better. I like the story so far, but now I didn't like that part where, like you were saying, when it didn't like make me get any kind of feeling. Like some animes you watch and I've gotten the chills because the storytelling's that good, and you don't feel nothing because he didn't. Like you said, if he would have left like in the old one, then you might be like, whoa, I wonder what's going to happen. But when he doesn't even leave, he doesn't even get out the door.
And he's there. Yeah. No, I didn't feel that connection either. And it's funny, again, like, just comparing it to some of the old stuff. I'm going to give it a solid 4. Because if 5 is average, it's definitely below average. If I go any lower than that, then it's like, man, if I go any lower than that, 4 solid. We're going to give it a 4, Tad.
So 4. We're averaging about a 5.5 between
5.5 average. Yeah. I think that's about right.
Yeah. We got more to go, so we'll see if it gets better. But I understand why you average that, especially after.
Hey, I didn't watch the original, so I don't got no biases here. So,
All right. Well, why don't you take it out, Kenny?
Oh, I get to take it out today?
Yeah,
all right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching our cold drinks and speed paints. Hey, man, we love to see you here, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.